Hello class. As you're starting to look into topics and do a little bit of preliminary research for your possible extended essay questions and coming up with several ideas for this unit, you're probably going to look at some familiar places that we all know and love and maybe know and love a little too often. And what I'd like to do in this brief tutorial is show you a couple of tricks that you might use when you start to find information online using the familiar search engine of Google and the ever-popular resource of Wikipedia. There's nothing wrong with finding information using Google or Wikipedia, but I want to show you a way to dig a little deeper and maybe find some more detailed information than you're used to. When you go to Google, you're probably going to see a search bar a lot like this one, and you're going to type in a topic that you are thinking about researching. And let's just take the example of the Ebola virus here as a possible topic of interest to you, and see what comes up. As you'll see here, your top two sources are the ever popular Wikipedia, and as you scroll down this page, you'll start to see a variety of sources you might look at as you begin to investigate your topic. Some of these are from very reliable, authoritative sources from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. There's one down here from the National Institutes of Health and the World Health Organization. So often it helps when you use Google to go past the first link. But even as a starting point, there's really no problem with Wikipedia. It's a good place to kind of get acquainted with your topic, especially if you don't know a lot of detailed information yet. And you'll see a fairly typical Wikipedia entry which comes up. One thing I want to point out to you is that Wikipedia, like I said, is a great place to start, but I would suggest that one strategy you take is to start at the bottom. Most people don't ever dig down as far as the references, but when it comes time to cite reliable sources in your research paper, and when it comes time to quote authorities, you really don't want to cite Wikipedia in your paper. That's just not the most reliable and authoritative voice that you're going to find. What you will find when you click in this resources section, though, is Wikipedia is offering to you a number of sources that their authors have gathered. So let's say you're doing something with a very scientific edge to it, maybe not so much about the tragedy of Ebola and the outbreaks in the area of the Congo in Africa. I'm going to click on one here, and what you'll find is a link that will take you to a much more authoritative source than Wikipedia. This is the source that you'd want to quote. This is the source and the author that you'd want to cite in your paper, not Wikipedia. And it's quite easy to find. Yes, you found it by way of Wikipedia, but if you're willing to dig through some of the science here and find some of the technical information, some of the detailed information here to bring into your paper, then certainly you can cite this. You found it, and whether or not you found it through Google or Wikipedia or some other search engine really isn't all that important. So, another way to click down is to look at the external links in Wikipedia, which are often very useful, and you can see some of these links here. I'm not going to click on all of them, but you'll see some things that might be helpful. Again, this is kind of in your early stage of research. I would say, well, that's pretty, that you might want to start from the bottom of the Wikipedia page and just kind of see what kind of sources the Wikipedia entry is using. I'm going to return for a minute to good old Google and show you a couple of hidden features of Google that a lot of people often don't ever get into. Most folks simply look at this search bar, type in your topic, and go on to the next thing. But if you've noticed on Google, there's this little button here that says More, and there's a whole lot of options here that are more for business and management type websites. But if you click down here at the very bottom, you'll see where it says Even More. And what this really opens up to you are some of the specific features in Google that might be interesting to use and useful later on in your research process. One that I really want to draw your attention to, if you scroll down through all of these different things that Google can do for you, near the very bottom, a search engine that very few people ever use is called Google Scholar. And you'll notice here this comes up with a very similar or familiar looking page, but with the Note Scholar there, and it has a few options here. I'm not going to play around with those right now, but let's say for a moment that you want to do the same type of search on the Ebola virus using the extra search engine of Google Scholar. You'll notice that Wikipedia is not the first source that comes up here. And at this point in your research, that's a pretty good thing. So if you're searching very generally for the Ebola virus, you notice over here you can narrow it down to very, very recent articles. You can back it up a little bit further, but this is for people that are wanting to find the most recent or very recent information so it is timely and as accurate as possible. And you'll notice that you still have a wide number of citations. Some of these will be books, but these are going to come from much more reliable sources. You'll notice over here that you have websites that are .org rather than .com when you get into this type of search engine. NIH here is the National Institutes of Health, I hope. And so you'll start to look at the Journal of Virology. So you've got, again, some very, very detailed and authoritative scholarly sources. Again, these are the kind of things you want to cite in your paper. You don't want to say that your information came from Google, but you would want to show that your information came from a specific author here. How you cite these in your paper is an issue for a later unit. But as you're starting to investigate your topic and get a sense of how much information is out there, this is a great place to start. So use Wikipedia, use Google, but use them wisely.